Hi, Nanette Carvalho here, certified HR professional with over 20 years of recruiting and HR experience. I've been receiving a lot of questions lately about interviewing and what questions can and can't be asked. In a previous video, I talked about interviewing best practices and brought up the point that some interviewers ask questions that may seem innocuous but could be considered discriminatory, which opens the door for discrimination claims. And while many of you are aware to stay away from questions regarding protections under Title VII, there are many other types of questions you'll want to be aware of that could be considered illegal or discriminatory. An illegal interview question is any question that asks the candidate to reveal information about his or her national origin, citizenship, age, marital status, disability, arrest record, military discharge, or personal information such as weight and height. However, there are ways to phrase questions so that they relate to specific occupational qualifications. At that point, the questions may be legitimate. So here are some examples. You can't ask, are you a U.S. citizen? But you can ask, are you authorized to work in the United States? Don't ask, how old are you? Or when did you graduate? Or even, what is your date of birth? But you can ask, are you over the age of 18? As that may be a requirement for the position. Marital and family status may seem safe enough, but that's another area that can get you into hot water. You can't ask about a person's marital status, if they plan to have kids, what their spouse's name is, if they're pregnant, or if they have child care provisions. What can be asked is, would you be willing to travel? Are you able to work overtime if needed? And do you have any commitments or responsibilities that might prevent you from meeting attendance requirements? Whatever questions you're asking, make sure you ask them of both male and female candidates. Now, with respect to arrest records, ban the box is now the law in 13 states, and it's anticipated more will follow. Ban the box restricts employers from asking about criminal history until after a job offer is made. So be aware of the laws in your state. And if your state doesn't have ban the box and you're inquiring about criminal history, you can ask questions about a conviction of a certain nature if it's relevant to the job. An example would be if you're hiring for an accountant, you can ask if they've ever been convicted of theft or embezzlement. However, to play it safe, I recommend staying away from questions regarding criminal convictions until after an offer is made. And at that time, you can perform a background check. With respect to questions about the military, you can't ask a veteran about their military discharge, but you can ask in what branch they served and about the training they received. Another question that seems harmless is asking a person if they rent or own and how long they may have been at a previous address. This information has nothing to do with the job. However, you are allowed to ask about their current address. Now, any questions about religion is a no-no, and the only question you should be asking is, what is your work availability, or are you able to work on Saturday and Sunday? Remember, if you ask this question of one candidate, you should ask it of all. Now, another question clients ask me is if they can ask a candidate if they have a car. The EEOC considers car ownership financial information. And while federal law doesn't prevent employers from asking candidates about financial information, the federal Equal Employment Opportunity laws prohibit employers from discriminating when using financial information to make employment decisions. Who would have thought? So, unless the use of a personal vehicle to travel between work sites or other locations is a primary job duty, the question if a person owns a vehicle or not is irrelevant. The ability to make it to work on time every day is certainly job related, but how a person makes it to work isn't. You can tell by the examples given that knowing what questions you can and can't ask and how to phrase them is important. And managers without specific training regarding interviewing can unknowingly put their employer at risk by asking the wrong questions. A best practice for creating interview questions is to first refer to the job description and understand the knowledge, skills, and abilities that are required. Then create interview questions to uncover if the candidate possesses the required KSAs to succeed in the job. I recommend creating an interview library for each position so it can be used consistently when interviewing. This will save the interviewer time in having to create questions each time they interview, provide consistency in the information that's gathered on each candidate, and can serve as a protection for the company to avoid claims of discrimination.